or you are not speaking.
Okay. Okay, so this is more of a nice introduction to some stuff that you will be working on more over your time as digital marketeers. And by the time you graduate, this will be so out of date, what we're going to talk about here, because by the time you graduate, things will have changed. And it's so important that you are, so strategy won't change, all of that, but the things we're going to talk about here will change. There may also be new platforms that you will be using. There will be new understandings. You might have got rid of cookies. So who knows what could be different by the time you change. And that's the thing with being a digital marketeer, is that you really, really have to stay on top of everything, not just on top of everything, but in advance of everything, and in advance of what's going on in the world. So hopefully you'll get an understanding of a couple of the current digital marketing trends, an understanding of artificial intelligence and digital marketing, and return on investments, but we're focusing on AI and social media trends really. This is the same Slido number as it was for the previous lecture as well. So, being aware of the latest digital marketing trends is absolutely fundamental to the success of a business's marketing strategy. You don't want to be left behind like Nokia or Blockbuster. An understanding of market trends enables businesses to make predictions, plan and take advantage of any new developments rather than being late to those developments. So making sure, so for one of the things that happened, we are going to talk about AI, but one of the things that kind of happened once like ChatGPT went live with its big language model was that suddenly we had lots of them, because actually lots of places and companies were working on them. And it was just, so one of them basically said, no, we're going to go for it, we're going to go ahead. OpenAI were like, no, we're going to go ahead with this. And so the reason why suddenly a couple of others appeared very quickly was because everyone was working on it. They knew, it didn't come out of the blue. It was work that these companies had invested in knowing what was happening, what the trends were. So there were once OpenAI went live, the others could go live. So trends can also dictate the way in which brands should interact with their target audience. So this is both trends in the platform, in the things that people are using to communicate or interacting with brands, but also the sorts of things that they care about. So understanding that about environmental issues becoming more and more important to consumers, and not just waiting until that impacts their brand, making sure that they're ahead of it and going, actually, do you know what, we need to get our business operationally sustainable so that that can be a selling point for our audience. Because at some point, that's going to be, well, it already is in many respects, the most critical thing for a lot of businesses. So Deloitte, who we mentioned, a lot of the work in the previous lecture came from Deloitte, and they produce tech trends report annually, but also quarterly. And it's really important that you keep up with these, read these, especially when you're actually employed as a digital marketer or looking for employment in digital marketing. These trends are the sorts of things that you really, really need to know about. And they put loads and loads of work into these reports. They put lots of money into it, lots and lots of research. Can we have some quiet, please? So they do, there are many different businesses that forecast trends, and you will find one specifically for like fashion or for food, retail. Deloitte focuses on digital and technology. And also, actually, if you want to download this report directly from them, just because it ties in with other things that we've been talking about, in order to the report is free for anyone to download, but they ask you to give them your email address, your name and your email address. So in order to download it, bit of what we call a quid pro quo, is where they get something from you, your data, and you get their report. So it just ties in with everything that we've been talking about. So they talk about a few trends in their annual report from last year, one of which is, of course, AI. It's in the last 2 years, I suppose, it's just been absolutely huge. So if there's a single marketing department or any department in any organisation really that isn't thinking about whether they should be using it, if they should, then how, then they're sort of missing out on those, they'll probably be missing out on opportunities. So in terms of digital marketing, we can use both generative AI to help us create content, but you really shouldn't, because most of the time it's terrible. But more valuable is using AI to sort of measure and monitor campaigns. So this is from a company called Marketing Evolution, and it's from 2021, so it's a few years ago. So this is, for a lot of people, AI has only just started been something that people have been talking about, but it's been growing for a while. So AI marketing uses artificial intelligence technologies to make automated decisions based on data collection, data analysis, and additional observations of audience or economic trends that may impact marketing efforts. It's often used already in digital marketing efforts where speed is essential. And AI marketing tools use data and customer profiles to learn how to best communicate with customers, then serve them tailored messages. Serve them tailored messages at the right time. Please, at the back there, please stop. Without intervention from marketing team members. So basically doing things without anyone needing to be involved. So if we know that our consumer, from data and insights that AI can collect and analyse, we'll know that our consumers are particularly active on TikTok between 4 and 8 p.m, then we can use AI to post automatically at that time. So the content can be created in advance, but then the AI decides when the optimum time to put it out to your customers is. And if you think about how much better this might make email marketing, and as I say, I'm not an expert in AI and in the tools that are used, so it's either being done or it's being developed. But if you know, and if AI can analyse that one particular customer likes to open and actually read and click through their emails at like 2 in the morning, then it can send those emails at 2 in the morning to that one customer, but other customers will get it at different times depending on what's most likely going to lead to success. And this, I mean, it's not something that you can just do with a free MailChimp account. It's something that, again, takes money, but actually in a few years, maybe this will be absolutely the sort of standard way to send out email marketing. So, and again, it's something that consumers might come to expect. Like already, I think, well, surely that is possible, so why isn't it happening? So yeah, it's something to consider. So, a lot of these sorts of, the sort of analysis that AI can do with data, humans can do, but it frees, if you use AI instead, then it can free up that very, very valuable time for you to do creative content or to think about strategy. So it frees up, ideally, it frees up time to do things. Hope that realistically, who knows what really happens when it comes to jobs. Ideally, there'll be just as many jobs, but more creative and strategic ones. So AI in marketing operations. AI is very important from an operational point of view. Data analysis, as we have discussed, collecting and sifting through large amounts of marketing data from various campaigns and programs that would otherwise have to be sorted manually. Natural language processing as a way to make things like chatbots much, much, much better. The ideal is for a chatbot to be indistinguishable from a human customer service representative, and I definitely don't think that we're there yet. Judging by a chatbot interaction, well, an interaction I thought was with a human the other day, but now I think it was probably a chatbot. So natural language processing can use infinite amount of data, basically, about the way that we speak to make language more human-like. AI learns and develops an understanding for actual voice interactions. They can, at the moment, although some are getting there, but at the moment, sometimes it can be more like written speech read out loud, when we talk very differently to how we write. So AI learns how to express itself like a human, and use those sort of slang and timings and tones and idiosyncrasies that we use when we're talking. So it can be much more like a real person than a traditional chatbot. And from a marketing point of view, that means more conversions. If you've got a chatbot available 24/7 to an infinite number of people, because you're using cloud technology, so it's scalable, then you can always have someone on hand within milliseconds to answer that person's question, convert them from someone considering a purchase into someone actually making a purchase. Media buying is a really, really critical one. Deciding what to bid on a keyword, what keywords to bid on. As we discussed, there's loads of research that you have to do into this keyword research. So predicting what the most effective ad and media placements for a business are going to be to reach their target audience is something very, very useful that AI could do. Automated decision making. What you probably don't really want AI to do is to make those sorts of strategic decisions, because then that really does put you out of a job. But generally, AI marketing tools help a business decide which marketing or business growth strategy they should use based on mountains of past data or external data. AI is obviously being used for lots and lots of content generation already. So writing short and long pieces of content for marketing, such as video captions, email subject lines, web copy, blogs, and more. And that really does put people out of jobs. So, and at the moment, it's not great. And at the moment, you can generally tell. I'd say for video captions, it's probably a very, very useful tool. I mean, I've got Google Recorder on my phone, and it transcribes in real time, as does Google Translate, what people are saying, which is fantastic. And it uses AI to make informed judgments about what they're likely, about context and things like that, rather than just listening to what is being said, the actual sounds. And then, as I just mentioned with email timings or TikTok postings, real-time personalization, changing a customer's experience with a marketing asset such as a web page, social post or email to fit the customer's past preferences to encourage a certain action, such as clicking a link, signing up something, buying a product. So that could be timings, but it could also be a preference. The data might be able to analyse whether that individual customer clicks on a call to action button at the top of the page or the bottom of the page, or whether they prefer video content or written content. So if you've got both, then you can use AI based on the past preferences of that user to maybe show them a video instead of written or vice versa. And you can already do this. It just takes a huge amount of preparation, really, and lots of training and understanding how to do it. It doesn't just happen at the click of a switch. You need to put a lot of work into understanding how these tools work. So AI has been proven with research to boost a company's productivity by up to 40%. This was in 2022. If leveraged strategically, autonomous technology can help brands to streamline their workflows, to deliver more effective marketing campaigns, meet their customers' expectations head on at every stage of their journey, predicting what individual customers are going to want at every stage of their journeys, and boost conversions and prompt sales across a multitude of channels and touch points. So AI is already being used to do these things. So we talked about Netflix earlier, and the way that they process all of the data that they're using to personalize the service is done using AI. Their user experience is paramount to their ongoing success and to that of any business really in any industry. So to enhance its overall user experience and tailor its service, Netflix uses AI-driven machine learning technology to provide those personalized content recommendations. It also uses AI development to automatically optimize streaming quality depending on the device you're using and the quality of your internet connection to avoid quality or buffering issues. So if it can tell that you're on a slightly weaker internet connection, the worst thing that can happen is that it buffers, so it's better for the quality to be slightly less so that it will play the whole thing through. So as I said, more than I think it was 86% of the shows people watch are based on personal recommendations. Oh, what's happening here? So it's a video with a terrible thumbnail that's going on. Anyway, that's one to watch in your own time that explains more about how they use machine learning to do all of the amazing things that Netflix does for its customers. And I think one of the key things there as well is that when you use other streaming platforms that don't do that, which is pretty much every other streaming platform, it can be very frustrating. It's like if I open up Disney Plus, which is all I want to see is Star Wars content. I don't want to see Disney cartoons, but it doesn't know that, so it's not as predictive as Netflix. So they need to keep up if they want to do as well. So how do people feel about AI? We've looked at how general people feel about privacy and their data and being followed around by adverts. Also, I should say, actually, people don't like being followed around by adverts unless, obviously, it's a dog following them around. But yeah, this research by Hannah Watts last year found that more than 75% of consumers are worried about artificial intelligence leading to jobs being lost. And more than 75% are concerned about misinformation from artificial intelligence, but more than 60% report they still trust businesses that use artificial intelligence. So this shows, again, it's a bit of a paradox. They're worried about these two things, but it's not quite enough to stop most people from trusting the businesses that use it. One of the things about misinformation, I think because, especially in the last year or so, when we hear about AI, we tend to be hearing about generative AI, about ChatGPT creating content, and we know that it's quite often very, very, very inaccurate, just made up. That's one of the things that contributing very much to this fear and concern about misinformation from artificial intelligence. They want to know that when they ask your chatbot a question about your product, that what you're getting back is the truth about the product and not something that it's just making up, like ChatGPT might. So that's one of the things where operationally it's important to not just immediately roll out these tools before you've got an understanding of how well they work. So you need to do lots and lots of testing. to stop consumers from getting frustrated. So this is more. So this is a breakdown into how the places where consumers are concerned or not about AI. So, they're not worried about AI when it comes to music recommendations. People are pretty okay with that. They don't see that as being too much of a problem in their concern in their daily life. But product descriptions, people are concerned about because we want to know that the things in a product description are right. So we don't necessarily trust AI to write a product description. Personalized advertising, people are concerned about. Product reviews, chatbots answering my questions, job applications, and movie and TV show recommendations. One of the things with these two that people are still, the majority of people are still concerned, but less concerned, is probably because we have already become accustomed to Spotify and Netflix doing these things. We are aware that they use AI to do these things, so we're a little bit less concerned about it. We've seen it work in practice, and we've decided, or some of us have decided, that it's worth the risk of AI. So consumers approve of, this is how consumers approve of artificial intelligence using. So there's some data that consumers are happy to let artificial intelligence use, and some that we're more concerned about. So people don't want AI to be using our phone conversations. I think that's pretty, I'm surprised in fact that 21% of people are happy for our phone conversations to be used by AI. Also, basically things that people consider very personal and private. Text messages, phone conversations. But interestingly, they're fine with social media. Well, not fine. It's not a massively high number. But most people are all right with AI using social media usage and engagement. The reason behind that is probably pretty obvious. It's because it's already public. So the other aspects, I mean, they do kind of work in terms of how private those bits of data we think should be. So when you're deciding, when you're coming up with ideas for tools and how to use AI, that it's just important to be aware of people's attitudes. So when you have the privacy paradox model, in that first section that's to do with how a person feels about giving up their data, their attitudes were really, really important. So these are the sorts of things that can contribute to that knowledge. So this is Deloitte's suggestion of how a business can help, or how the industries in general can help make AI more trusted. And they are data transparency. So again, making sure that people know why their data is being collected and how it's going to be used. This one's tricky, explainable algorithms, which is very difficult because algorithms are by their very nature incredibly complicated. But just trying to really sum up, if you've got an algorithm in use, then it's trying to explain what it uses and what it's actually coming up with in the end. And reliable AI. They want to be able to hold AI accountable. So things with that is things like being able to report errors. So if you've got a chatbot, just having a little button that's going to say, it's enabling you to give feedback on how your interaction was, and being able to be specific about it. Things like that are really important with it being able to feel like you can rely on AI as well. There is a podcast or a talk about that report. So this is a half-hour talk about basically about the trends in there. So probably quite basically this, but by the people who actually did research. So just one more trend that we're going to one more thing we're going to look at is another report. So this is another industry report. This one by Hootsuite, who we've seen a few bits of data from over the last week. Hootsuite have a lot of clients in a lot of different industries that use their product to manage their social media. So when they're coming up with these reports every year about trends in the industry, they are taking data from how their clients use social media, also how all their clients' followers are using social media, but they also do sort of extra research as well into things like attitudes as well. So they've got a very big resource available to them by the nature of their business. So one of the things that they've said is that what CEOs really want is to understand where the money that they're spending on social media is going. And it's not a bad thing, it's because they're actually finally starting to see that you can really get a return on investment from social media. So because of that, they want to be able to, they want to see that evidence behind it. So at one stage, the person in charge of social media might have a bit of a free rein to kind of do what they want on social media, but now it's becoming much more integrated into the business, which means really being able to prove the return on investment of the work that you're doing. So just like we've got the podcast with Deloitte talking through the report, they have a video where they are doing the same thing, so you can watch that in your own time. I'm not going to watch it now. Still on return on investment, this was marketing professionals asked, how confident are you that social media delivers a positive return on investment when it comes to marketing and engaging with your audience? And probably not surprisingly, because they do it for a living, 37% say extremely confident, 40% confident, and we've got 4% say not at all confident. And one of the things that they say in their report is, if you're not that confident, then maybe you need to use our service, Hootsuite. So the reason I highlight that is because this whole report that they do and that Deloitte do is actually a form of content marketing. So they are using content marketing, this report that they spend quite a lot of time and money on every year, is a useful piece of information, even being used by lecturers, that basically ends up advertising Hootsuite, because it's a piece of content marketing. So it gets shared and used. But anyway, that's sort of an aside. So yes, one of the things they also say here, where they say more visibility means more scrutiny, again, it's about being able to justify your decisions and having that strategy and measurements, plan for measuring behind everything that you do on social media. Their recommendations for businesses, for digital marketers, is to track the metrics that align with the business objectives. So not just going, oh well, most people look at these metrics like bounce rates, so we'll look at them. Actually, think about what your business objectives are and choose the metrics that are going to work with that. Create a return on investment report that shows the true impact of social. Don't wait to be asked what the return on investment of everything you're doing is. Make sure that you are creating those reports that are going to say, look, in the last month I did X, Y, we did X, Y, and Z, and we can prove using these metrics that it provided this return on investment. Oh, they also provided a template for that report as well, by the way. And they also say, remember the big picture. Don't chase short-term return on investment to the point that you lose sight of what makes your brand valuable and unique. So basically, don't jump on a trend just because it's a trend, even though it doesn't really align with what your business what your brand really needs. It says here as well, don't forget the big picture of social media return on investment includes returns beyond the marketing department. You can use social media to improve customer service and strengthen employee relationships as well. And you should include them when you're thinking about return on investment. So it's just all of it, everything that they're saying is basically a trend on businesses and everything that we've been talking about over the last few days. Okay, so hopefully you have an understanding of those current digital marketing trends, basically using AI and proving your worth as a digital marketer, an understanding of artificial intelligence and insights into ROI.